right. Hi, ladies. Thank you so. Oh my goodness.
We started I love it. Like, what is she looking at? And what is she doing?
The show is going to go.
What it is.
Camera.
This is y'all are in for a treat today.
Wait,
guys.
did you just look straight at the camera?
Yeah, she did.
No, look straight at the camera. You started out. Wait.
Yeah. This is it.
This was like the very first Diva 10. The very first Diva 10.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, I'm here for it. You know what? I can't. Y'all are in for a treat today, ladies and gentlemen. You see, this is how it's going to be this episode. But thank you so much for coming. We want to get right into it. I am sure. Thank you for coming. I'm so excited about today. I have been hyped about today, preparing everything needed to be good for the Diva Den today.
Oh, wow.
So thank you for coming.
She got cards and everything.
Yes,
Girl, no, she got the talking points and everything. She is not playing. Come on, Whoopi, come on. She is not playing. We ready?
Yes. So
Or not.
Ready or not, here I come. You can't hide it. I'm sorry.
Hide you and take it slowly.
Ready or not.
I am Shar. I am your host of Lotus Living today, and I have for you the Diva Den. This is the segment of the show in which everybody gets a chance to talk their shit. Nobody
get to talk
at Lotus Living,
say less.
nobody can introduce you better than you can introduce you.
No.
So you can tell the world, the masses, who you are. So I don't know who wants to go first, but for one, introduce yourself individually and then tell us who is the Diva Den.
Ooh, baby. I will start.
Oh.
I am Alyssa Wilds. I am Wilds Worldwide. I am the convener of the Diva Den. I will say, well, the group on camera. Mm-hmm. The Diva Den for us began, and we put a name to it because we actually met in the Diva Den, mm-hmm. right? At Angie, who is not here with us today, but Angie's house, she has a Diva Den and a man cave. It depends on who's in there.
Yes.
And we kind of started we were already together, we would hang out or whatever, but during the pandemic, we realized just how vitally important we were. Mm-hmm. And it became a whole thing. Like we were clinging to one another for dear life. Mm-hmm. We became each other's life raft during the pandemic. It was a sisterhood that had previously started in Delta Sigma Theta. Ooh. But it's a sister that had already started. But I will tell you that it drastically and greatly enhanced during the pandemic. We realized that we had a bond like none other, and it just steadily grew and grew and grew and became into something extremely beautiful that I then put on camera through my podcast, Wild Worldwide. I will allow them to tell you who they are, but this is a sisterhood that can never be broken. It has drastically shifted and turned into other things, but I will say that I am forever grateful for these ladies. And there are two other members of the Diva Den. I will mention Angie Yelverton, who's not here, and Nafon Kirk is also an original member of the Diva Den. It is a sisterhood, a bond, a love, and understanding like none other. And although it has shifted in the way it's presented itself, and on camera, we are not always there anymore, we'll get back. Mm-hmm. This is the rebirth. So thank you for that. This feels so right. It is something that I am, and on camera, I will say I am grateful for these women that sit around here, because there were times during the pandemic, that I was literally melting, and somebody would just show up on my door because they could hear my silence. Mm-hmm. They could feel the words that I was not saying. Mm-hmm. The love and the sisterhood and the friendship and the homeboy, that were birthed out of that situation is something that I never once saw coming, and I am forever grateful for. So I will pass the mic, but I am grateful for you guys on camera. I will say that I absolutely 1000% love and adore you guys individually for who you are, and as a group for what we've become.
Yes. Oh, I got chills.
Yes. She done said it all.
I know. Listen.
I sip something.
Yes, listen. I sip something. I can't.
So I'm Donnie Shin Parker. I don't know who I am in the group. At times, we all fill different roles when we come in. So the philosopher, I guess. The
Philosophizing.
the word dictionary, which is not really a word, but I'm all the things that we all are. Mothers, sisters, all those things. A member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. But, the relationship with the Diva Den has grown and it has changed. My husband and I were having this conversation yesterday about like just sisterhood and things like that. And there are moments when you have to reevaluate, your place in the sisterhood,
Absolutely.
your place in the relationship, right? In marriage and or friendships and or family, right? Where do I sit? What is my role? What impact am I having and what impact is having on me? So I feel like the Diva Den during the pandemic had allowed us to just be free. Every time we got together, every single time we got together, it was love, laughter, and life, right? In a space, in a time that death was literally knocking at everyone's door, skipping over some. And each individual here I've met in different, capacities. So Tamika is my line sister, Angie is my line sister, Nafan was our big sister. Alyssa and I have always weaved in and out through because we grew up in the same community. But our friendship really began during a time when one of our other friends was passing. We've always had that homeboy, what's up homeboy kind of status with one another, but it really birthed from there. And then Rhonda I met, I actually got to really know when we were taking some courses together. We were going for our doctorate. So I feel like, the evolution of intellect, beauty, brains, and bountiful love is what was birthed in the Diva Den. And we literally ate and drank every single time we got together. The 30 pounds you see,
So you pop and pass out.
we literally embraced that time off. And we let our belts go, and we let our inhibitions just fall by the wayside. When I say ate and drank, we came with dessert, we came with dinner, and we came with specialty cocktails. I think my bartending skills got on fleek.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
I think my food
That's
skills.
when we realized. That's when I realized that she could cook.
What?
She would actually show up with food and cook a real meal for everybody.
Yep.
So the pandemic birthed something that we possibly didn't realize was within all of us, and the need to connect. The need to connect. I mean, that's the one thing I can say the Diva Den has become. It was a commune, but it was a selective commune for all of us.
I like that.
So with that, I'm going to pass the mic to the J13 McMillan.
Because it's coming.
Yes, it's coming. Get ready.
Here we go. So, I am Tamika LaShawn Chester. And I'm probably the Ally McBeal of the group because I'm going to bust out with song all throughout the day. That's, my life lives in song. I'm also the head of the pull-up ministry. If I call you and your voice sounds off or, things seem off on your Facebook post, I'm going to just pull up on you like, yo, what's up? You good? What's happening? You need a shake? Here's some flowers. I don't know. That was what I did during the pandemic. It was kind of like a servant leadership. Like I just needed to serve. I just needed seeing people smile and helping people helped me get through the pandemic. The Diva Den, oh man. Y'all really said it all, but like Donnie said, to be able to come together with a group of women in a safe space, and the Diva Den was a safe space during the pandemic when things were really, really bad and people were really suffering in isolation. It was good to have an actual physical space because we would take over Aaron's man cave, and he was so gracious and being like, okay, go on, take it over, and it became the Diva Den, and it was just a really good time. There's something to be said about coming together with people and cooking, cooking together, like when we would cook together, or we would just always be very in point. Like sometimes we coordinate what we bring in, and then other times it would be like we just show up and then it all would just work, right? I swear to God, we probably jump started Creamy's Bakery for real.
We did. Yeah.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something.
Shout out to Creamy's.
Let me shout out to Creamy's and Jacola.
I done got a few cakes from Creamy's. It's the bomb.
Yes. Let me tell you, when she was still cooking up at her house, I was ordering cakes from her to the point where I would be like, all right, I get other people to order cakes with me and be like, can you just cut it in half for us? Hence, I can't eat no more Creamies because my type 2 diabetes was off the hook during the pandemic. So I had to really pull back on a lot of things. But much like they said, it just got us through a time that was really dark and uncertain, absolutely. And like I said, while things change, I get that. Like, things change, but I'm so grateful for the opportunity of what we had. And although it may look different, it may, be different at times, what we had is an unbreakable bond. The love that we have, it's like real sisters. Like, you'd be like, that's my soror, that's my sister. Me and Donnie laugh. We'd be like sister cousin. We'd be like sister cousin soror because that's what we are. But there's a deep bond between us that will never be broken.
You need tissue?
You're gonna cry.
It's these menopausal ladies, y'all. We be, at any point in time, we'll bust out in a tear.
Do I need a box?
Whatever you want it to be.
That's okay. It's all right. This is a safe space.
It's a safe space. So, but in all honesty, some people, and we talk about this, like, things change. You know what I mean? You gotta reevaluate your life. Shit just changed after the pandemic. Post-pandemic is real, and just everything changed after. We was back outside, right?
Back out, yeah.
But what we were lucky to have that many people didn't have was each other. And you see the impact of that post-pandemic. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people went through the pandemic and they didn't have anyone. And you're seeing the effects of that. Families falling apart. All kinds of stuff is happening. People are struggling. That's why your services are so necessary. Because people are struggling. And to say that we had this, I hold that in my heart for the rest of my life. Like, the dividend will always be like, you say the dividend, and I'm gonna be like, I'm part of the dividend. So so. Awesome. You gonna make it through?
Yes, the mic.
I wasn't expecting you to bust that already.
No. Okay, so
whatever. Did that on the left run? Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. I am Rhonda Cook still. I'm known as the godmother of the dividend. I met each one of these ladies in a different, aspect. Donnie and Nafan, we were in class together, and then I got introduced to everybody else, showed up at the dividend, and it's been great since then. You know what I mean? I do know that these ladies have been such a great support for me, even though they might not even know how much, but just being in their presence makes me feel good. As I've been through some things through these times, not just the pandemic, but even after pandemic and things. And I know that if I called any one of them up, they'd be there to support me. I questioned Lisa, like, you sure you want me to be on this podcast?
We just had that conversation again this week.
Because I'm the quiet, I pretty much observe and listen and I take it all in. You know what I mean? But I do have, when I do speak, I think it speaks volume. But I'm just pretty much the quiet one out of the group. But I'm here, I'm present.
Yes, you are.
And I'm available and they know it. You know what I mean? Always. I mean, you have your things, but it's not going to break.
Yeah.
And I just know, I question, how did I become a part of this group? But I know God knows what he was doing.
Yes.
What he was doing when he put me in the presence of these ladies. Also a member of Delta Sigma Theta sorority. And get it. You
That's right.
You won't get it.
And let me just say that Rhonda is my line.
Yes. So that's about pretty much, my story with the Diva Den.
Awesome. Well, that filled me up. Like, we could end the show right there. But I know that we just got started. But I truly thank you. I think, that intro could not have been done any better than from your own mouth. being able to describe, who you are, but then what the diva then means now, meant during the pandemic, means going forward. I think it's telling, based on some of the things that we're going to talk about today in regards to womanhood and relationships and, just that need that we really do have for each other, that I wish sometimes kind of transcended to other, groups, as far as our need for human connection, our need to, be attached to each other and support each other and to be more positive. So I thank you for coming. So Lotus Living, what is it? I do have a definition for it. I'm gonna tell it at the end. However, it really is about wellness experiences, just trying to find that balance in your life. So I like to start high with the show. So tell or share, if you like, an experience, a wellness experience that you've had this year. We're coming to the end of 2023. So much has gone on this year, but if there was a particular wellness experience, whether it was something that you accomplished, something you experienced actually yourself, going somewhere, it could be about anything. What was your greatest wellness experience?
I'm gonna go ahead and start. So I had two major accomplishments. Well, one is an accomplishment and one is an experience. So one, I shared earlier that I am a type 2 diabetic. I've been type 2 diabetic for about 6 years now. It reached a height during the pandemic because I was fucking some creamies up. At some point in time, I guess I made a decision that I wanted to get off the medication. I'm a very, I don't do nothing I don't want to do, and I'm very honest about what I'm going to continue to do. So the battle between me and my doctor, when she would be like, you need to stop doing this, I'd be like, I'm not going to stop doing that. And she'd be like, well, try doing this. And then we become to a happy medium with, do things in moderation. So cut back slowly, different little things like that. So I started to do things very slowly, and I didn't share with anyone because I also don't like people telling me what to do. Or when people say they are going to be your accountability partner, but they use it to poke you and jab you, and I'm the wrong person to poke and jab, or judge you. I've often felt judged after I've shared stuff with friends, and especially if you say you're on a diet, people have a tendency to watch what you eat and want to police it and be like, should you be eating that? And then I'll be the one to be like, bitch, you know what I mean? And then I don't want to be that person. But
exactly.
So a lot of my dietary changes I did not share with anyone, but it was like really little things that I would do, and if y'all think about when we would go out to eat, now you're gonna be like, well, that makes sense, where I would only eat half of my food and I would always pack up the rest to go home and make sure I drink a lot of water with it. So long story short, it probably wasn't until this year that I really noticed how much weight I had actually lost. Yes. And when I hit that milestone where I actually seen it, so I'm at a total of 40 pounds now since 2019. So that is thank you. I'm a receipt pack. I'm almost down to my fighting weight. But that was a big accomplishment for me this year. I did come off the medication. I made in January of last year, I made a commitment that I was going to come off of metformin by bringing my A1C levels down, and I was able to come off of the metformin this year. So that was a super accomplishment for me that I'm really proud of. In terms of an experience that I had that I would consider a wellness experience, that motherfucking Beyonce
baby.
Let me tell you something about that Renaissance concert. It was worth every $568 that I spent on the ticket, however much I spent on the flight, however much I spent on the room. It was an experience. I literally felt euphoric and high while I was there. Like, I guess that's what it's like when you're on acid, because I couldn't stop moving. Like, my body was
compared to acid.
Like, this also trying now.
Let's go.
But my body,
Is there any acid here?
Exactly.
I would like to add it to my drink.
But that's what I liken it to when people in the 70s talk, when they used to be like tripping and they said they did like acid and they would feel stuff and see stuff. Like, at one point in time in the concert, I literally felt like of body experience. I don't know what it was. It felt like a chakra was open. Let me tell you something. When I came back from that concert for about 3 weeks after that, my whole life changed for only 3 weeks. But it was like something opened up inside of me, and I was able to receive everything that the universe was giving me. I was extremely sensitive to everything, like touch, sounds, like just everything. It just opened me up.
We're gonna need you to send Beyonce a call.
Listen,
baby, I'm telling you, baby, the experiences that I had from August, the end of August going into September, it was like the most delicious, the most sensual, the most pleasing, the most pleasurable. Like everything about it was just like, oh shit. And you know what? I'm reminiscing.
It's like, let me tell you something about women our age rubbing their knees. You know that they got good to you.
A cigarette. Like, what's happening right now?
You got good, honey. You went back to a place in time.
You can take one drag.
But what it did was open me up and realize that that's what I want to feel. That's what the fuck I want. That's what the fuck I want, and that's what I'm gonna get. So as I look forward to 2024, that's what I want. I want to be loved the way that I want to be loved. I want to be loved the fucking way I need to be loved.
Tell it.
I want to be touched. I want to be
cue the
music. You know, I do.
The soundtrack to 2024.
I do. I want what I want. I want what my heart desires because I deserve it. And that's what that experience did for me. It opened me up to be like, oh, I want to feel that shit more often than not. Now I know, give me 80-20. I know every day ain't gonna be like that, but I fucking want my 80, and I'm coming for it.
I'm telling you,
coming for my 80
in my core.
I'm coming for my 80.
Lotus living is about getting what you deserve. And if that's what you want, that's what you get.
So that's what I'm really focusing on, and I'm going to try to really be intentional. And I've actually it's been a process because I've actually been working really hard since the pandemic. As soon as the pandemic started on March the 18th, my whole life changed and all hell broke out of my life. And I immediately went into therapy. Like I did a year of intensive therapy online, and then the following year I did a year of intensive coaching, which I just finished in September. So now I call this my theory to practice year. So all the shit I've been working on and learning, I need to put into practice and go ahead and put my big girl panties on. So that's where I'm at.
I'm here for growth because that's what that is. Putting it into practice. I love it. Anybody else want to share?
Mine was I went to Bali. For 10 days, 8 to 10 days. So, I had decided to do Bali last year. I was like, all right, I'm gonna rock and roll. We're gonna go to Bali. But as you moved up to, this shit is a 24-hour fucking flight. Like, this is some bullshit. My anxiety, right? I do suffer from anxiety from time to time. And my anxiety rose right before the trip. And I was like, I'm going to cancel this. But then, you're like this. I done told everybody I'm going to Bali. And they'll be like, you ain't go? I got scared. So I wind up, going, getting on that plane. And it's something to say about a 24-hour flight where you have no control. That you at the mercy of whomever is at the helm of that plane. And however was at the helm of the skies. And whatever the case may be. I'm going to tell y'all, I'm a bad bitch and I'm a rock star. I could do so much. Like, literally, when I came back, I felt like I could do anything and can't nobody tell me anything. The experience, the water, the people, the individuals that I met. My husband went with me as well, so I won't leave him out. We had unequivocally the best time together and apart because we did different things. There's some things that he likes to do that I'm not really gonna do. There were some things that I enjoy doing that he doesn't want to do. But that experience of just traveling, 1, 2, going on to the other side of the world, and then 3, just experiencing a culture that is about yoga. It is about calm. It is about peace. It's about temple. It's about quiet. It's about all the things that we don't get here in the States on a regular basis. And it is embraced and embodied over there. Alcohol is pretty much taboo over there, so your high is not coming from drinking. Your high is coming from just the natural elements. It's illegal, but it's not. It's like an in-between space. You're not gonna, they have bars, they have hotels that will serve alcohol, but it is not the thing of when you go to a restaurant, I'm having a glass of wine. That's not a typical thing that you do when you get into the indigenous components of their space. And I would say that was both my one biggest accomplishment was the travel, and the other piece was the experience. When I came back, I realized that you only get to live once.
That's right.
And that the things that I discovered about myself, on the beach, walking in the morning, o'clock in the morning, they have dogs everywhere. Like, they have dogs every place you could possibly go. Their dog is a spirit animal to them now. So if the dog growls at you, there's something wrong with you. Right? There's something wrong with your spirit. When I say, and we typically are like fearful of anybody's dog that we walk by randomly on our streets. They are, and they don't have them on the resorts or in the hotels, but they're walking in the, the sand and things like that. They feed their dogs. They really treat them very, very well. So it's a community dog. It could be anywhere. So when we happened to be on one of the excursions, the gentleman told us about who the dogs are in the community and their response to you. One of my favorite memories was there was a woman and she was walking with a basket on her head, and the freedom that she demonstrated, her eyes were the only thing that was tethered on her entire body. She looked like she was at least 80. And the only thing that was tethered on her entire body was what she had seen in the world. She walked erect with that basket on her head and did not walk hunched over, was not overweight. And not that, our stuff was filled within the food, so everything is clean there. But just how she walked with that basket, and she was walking a ways. And it was almost like as I was watching her, I didn't think to take a picture of her because I was so engrossed in what she was presenting in front of me that I was like, wow. And the freedom that she walked with is what I would like in my life. That, uninhibited, just experience. I want this to be the only area that's tethered on my entire body. Now, I don't know what, she had clothes on, but facial wise, not a frown line, nothing, just her eyes. So that says she's seen, she's done. And then their labor of work, the laborious work that they do, and how they continue to just embrace life. We get all upset when we just got to get up at 2:00 to do something, right? It's a task for us to do anything. It's not a task. It did not appear to be a task. They were in there twirling rice. They were in there doing like corn, and they were happy. They met you with gratitude. It was nothing that was the best experience in my life.
Nice.
Yes. I loved it. And I've seen pictures of Ali and videos. It is on my to-do. I don't know when I have to get over this 24-hour flight. That's what it is for me. Because it's not that I have a fear of flying. However, I have a limit of when I can be in the sky, Woo. But I mean, it sounds like it's worth it.
15 hours. We did 15 hours to Hong Kong. I'm telling you, when you got off of Hong Kong and you ate, you was like, oh, I'm ready for the next flight. It was 5 to Bali from there.
Wow.
We had some great food. Chili oil has become my favorite, you guys.
Wow.
It's not like some good Asian chili oil, but once you get there, you're like, oh, this is great.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that.
Jeez.
Yes.
You wonder what's going on with you?
Did you go? No.
Okay, I'll go.
That's how they do me.
You are not a victim, beloved. Come
though?
on, it's your turn.
Let me think. I've come through physically, health-wise, relationship-wise. I've come to a point where I feel like I can just stand. Because it's been a roller coaster since 2015. And recently, some things have occurred in my life with my health, my relationships, but now I'm at a point where I'm happy and I'm in love. And
Wait a minute.
something happened where I just was like, just forget it. Put it all down and let things be. And my health is great. My relationship is good.
Look at that smile.
Hey, go on and rub your knees. Go on and rub your knees.
And if not, to make it go rub them for you.
I know, I'm sitting here in anticipation.
I've always been the one, helping this person, that person, trying to solve everything by myself. And I had to let things go and learn to say no and try to just put myself first. And that's what I did. Everybody, husband, family. I had to really just sit back and understand what I've been through and what was going on in my life, to get to a point where just stand and it's going to be all right. Pray about it. And things are good. You know what I mean? Once I let go, I just posted that. Once I let it go, it's when things got right. You know what I mean?
Right.
You can't fix everything, and you gotta have a go-to also. Not that I just stood back in the dark and just but had some people to talk to, whatever. But it's good. I'm happy. And things are good. I just had to just stand and let it happen.
Yes, heavy on the happy.
Yes.
And the love.
And I'm in love.
In love.
That's it for me.
I'm in love.
Don't get all shy. I'm in love, baby.
I love that.
That was something for a
That's
minute
a beautiful
there, really.
thing.
It is. I love that for you.
Oh yeah, I have my boots by the door, ready to come ride out with you and ride out for you.
Yeah.
Well, look where we are now, baby.
Yes.
We are now. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
I will say that two wonderful things have happened this year. A lot of wonderful things have happened, I will say. My daughter finishing up college. Me being promoted again. But the two things that I will highlight are first, as my podcast went down, I haven't podcasted regularly in quite some time. And I've made a lot of excuses. They weren't reasons, they were excuses, to be perfectly honest, because there were a lot of Saturdays when I could have gone live. But I will say that being a creative, as you now know, is a hard thing.
Oh yeah.
Having content that is quality content, because I could get on a mic and say whatever and just, be there to hold my slot, make sure that everybody still sees me on Saturdays at 10 a.m. But the quality content was not there. My creative juices were not flowing where I had anything that I needed to say. So while there were Saturdays that I could have gone live, I just didn't desire to. And I was oftentimes wondering, was I losing my voice? Was I losing my space? And at the same time that I was really deeply reflective and going through that time, my boss, who is really like a sponsor in my life, a black female, her name is Tequila Smith, she then said, I need to step down from all these speaking engagements at work. Who is going to take them over? And by the time I saw the email, everybody else had weighed in. So we do this awful thing at work where you reply all. So you got 147 emails, but you click on one and 50 disappear because they kept replying all. And by the time I had jumped in on the email, everybody was saying, Alyssa will take over these speaking engagements. Now, I come from social work. I'm social work, nonprofit. Tequila is a chemical engineer. So I'm like, why the hell I'm going to talk about what the hell she was talking about? That just can't possibly be right. But all of the panels kind of switched to make sure that Alyssa was able to speak in it.
Nice.
So this year, it started in June, and it just kind of took off. I was at my first panel in Edison during the Canadian wildfires. I remember riding up there when I thought the whole earth was on fire. We could barely even see in June. It started off there, and from there, it was like everybody was calling Covanta asking them to have me speak again. So it went from, I went right from that event right that day to get on a flight to go to Florida. And then I was in Cleveland, and I was in Hawaii, and I was all over in New Jersey. And I spoke at the coveted Women Business Leadership Forum in Newark this year. I was a panelist up there I spoke about mentoring and leadership and the need for sponsorship and mentorship and coaching. And it kind of just went wild. It went really wild, so much so that my job has been asked to have me sit before other corporations to teach them how it is that I do what I do. So my voice, I was thinking I was losing my voice. And that's a hard feat. And I will go back a little bit because that's a hard feat because I'm the youngest of 6 children. 5 were raised. I have a sibling that died. And I never had a voice as a child. You know, everybody's talking loud. Nobody wants to hear what you have to say. So I spent a lot of years just not talking. I struggle with people over talking me because if people are talking while I'm talking, I will completely fade to black. So to finally find a voice and while I was worldwide and then lose it was really heavy for me. And I struggled with it. Like, come on, Liz, you can't go back to that time. You have to keep it flowing. You were brave enough to start this thing. So when my podcast was going down and I just didn't have the content, I just didn't. And at the same time, I was waiting too long to pull my people in. Because if I pull them in and go on camera, you know, we'll just talk about shit and it'll just happen. But because I was waiting too long to say, hey, I want to go on camera, everybody's schedules were kind of all over the place and we just couldn't get it together. And then I stopped trying. So for Tequila to pass me the mic and send me on my way like that it has become really a whole thing for Covanta. It's a thing where I speak everywhere and I do all of the things. And that is an amazing thing to, first of all, have a black woman who is a real live sponsor, who opens up the door and places you in places that you would have never been, speaks your name in spaces that you have never been, and just give you that opportunity and say, I know Alyssa can handle this because I need to go do something else. She will take this over. So that is an amazing thing that happened to me. It's such a good feeling for you to have, and I don't know what they are called in the worldly realm, but I know they're adjutants in church where there's somebody who's assigned to you to take care of you. So when you come in, they're like, okay, Alyssa, I'm the person. So here's your water, here's your things. And you have all of these people looking out for you to get off a flight and somebody's standing there with a card that says Wilds waiting for you. It's a whole other life that I had never experienced. And I am grateful for it because Tequila was the one to say, I'm going to take you places. If you are willing to receive, I'm going to do this for you and we are going to be good. So that is an amazing thing that has happened for me that I am ever so grateful for. And the other thing is, I know that I have codependent issues. I'm not even going to lie. I have needed to be needed all of my life. It started off with me believing that I wanted to be who I've always needed but didn't have. I needed to be that person for everybody. It turned into me having savior behavior. It turned into me wearing a cape for everybody, doing all of the things. And as time just went on and it grew, I realized that I began to hate people for always needing me. And I was angry for it. So while I continued to give and do and be and do all of the things, it was begrudgingly. I was angry about it. But then there's this flip side where you actually need people to need you. Like, why are people not calling me? So there's a little bit of a control there, you know, where you want to stay involved. You need to be there. You need to do all of the things. But damn, why can't you do this yourself? Because I've created a culture where you're always looking for me. So I know that I have these codependent behaviors. So this year I started with a coach and a therapist at the same time.
That is intense.
Heavy on
It is very intense. And it's Wednesday nights at 8 and Thursday nights at 7 that I do this thing because I promised myself and I announced to my children this year that it's 6 months to freedom. I'm working heavily for 6 months because I've never been an adult that lived alone. I have never had the experience of being the only person that has a key to the door where I live. I am separating myself. I'm working very, very, very hard to separate myself. So just getting my children in line with this whole thing. My children are grown people, but that whole codependency has kept them needing me the same way I need them. So while I say I want to be free, I will say that I'll go on a 7-day trip for work. You come home and you need somebody to be there. But 15 minutes after they're there, it's like, ready for you to get you know that. You leave go somewhere else. Yeah. It's that twisted need to be needed, that need to be separated, that need for people to, it's a crazy thing, but I have entered into therapy and coaching at the same time to be able to take off my cape, release these savior behaviors and save my own self. And then at the same time helping my children, more so my son. We have created that whole situation where we become each other's lifelines. but being able to help them separate themselves so that everybody can stand up, because I think it's going to be a good thing. It's hard work.
Yeah.
It is
It's hard.
very hard work. And me and Meek were talking on our way over here, just talking about the work that's being done. Not only is it revealing me, but it's revealing some things that I've accepted from other people. Mm-hmm. So you can see other people in this whole thing, like, yo, you know, that's what that was. Mm-hmm. Now that's okay. I didn't understand. I knew I felt something. Mm-hmm. I couldn't really put a word or a term to it or anything, but now I'm understanding a whole lot of things, because you see people for who they are as well. Mm. So it's a heavy body of work, but I'm grateful that I'm here and I'm doing it. So
yes, heavy on to do the work. Yeah. You know, I think as a helping professional, I can relate to some of what you're saying, especially like, you know, wanting to help people and just wanting them to be better and to do better and to be the person to kind of influence that. But I think the coming of making yourself a priority, I think 2024 is the priority season for me. You know, pouring into yourself, making yourself primary person above all else outside of your higher power. I think is so significant. You know, we are sometimes ingrained to be like selfless when we should be self more. And just walking in that light. So
self more. I like that.
Yes. You know, transitioning from, you know, that selfless aspect. And it's not, you know, selfish. It may be selfish in a way, and it's okay. You should be selfish with yourself at times. Not everybody deserves your space, your time, your heart, your body, whatever the case may be. You know, not everybody deserves that. And I think you should be selfish with some things. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. We should be more selfish.
I agree.
Than giving. Right? But thank you. That is powerful. Heavy on the personal responsibility. When you grown, like it's grown women in here, we don't have a problem with taking personal responsibility.
Absolutely not.
It does, you know, sometimes we struggle with it. Like, you know, we don't want to hear sometimes the, you know, unhealthy things about ourselves. However, it takes a lot to say, you know what? I fucked up. Let me try to make it right. You know what I mean?
That was me.
I did this. Like, it's okay to. That's why you're human. Yeah. That's why, you know, forgiveness is a thing. That's why redemption is a thing. That's why restoration is a thing. It's like, you're not going to get it right all the time, but say that though. Don't blame me or blame someone else. Say that. Like, I don't have it all figured out right now, but I'm going to figure it out. Say that. You know, we're not expecting, I hope, you know, people are not expecting us to know. So I think, you know, you doing what you need to do for you to be better, I think it's absolutely amazing.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And you know what you just said? So as I think about relationships and sisterhood, right? Because we talk about how difficult it is to maintain those relationships within women for whatever reasons, right? My cousin said to me a couple of weeks ago, we were talking, right? And we were talking about all these different groups I'm in, like the Diva Den and the Diva Wine Club and the Sister Circle. And she was like, you have so many groups. And she kind of asked the question, like, you know, who are you in those groups? And I was like laughing. I was like, I don't know. And she was like, you're Tito Jackson. And I said, you's a damn liar. No, my response to Juanita, literally, I said, take that the fuck back. I am not Tito. And she said, wait. She said, think about Tito Jackson and his role in the Jackson. He was like, he's just as talented as everybody else, but he always knew how to play his role. He has a really good relationship with all of his siblings. There's never been any competition. He's actually taken on, you know, she would tell me Jermaine Jackson's kids. Like, once she broke it down, and she was like, she said, you dance to the beat of your own drum. She said, you're very comfortable with who you are, your role in any situation that you're in. She was like, you really flow, like you got a good flow. And I was like, oh, okay. All right, I received that, because initially I was like, no.
I would have been more offended if she called you Jermaine.
Well, that's what she said. She was like, Jermaine and Randy, they was off the hook, and then we talked about that. But what we also talked about, and you talked about restoration, and you talked about grace, and you talked about forgiveness. And I think one of the reasons that I am able to establish and maintain these relationships with women in particular is because I understand, and this is from years of therapy, because I've been in therapy for a long time, but I understand the grace in relationships, and I understand my role in relationships. and who I am and all my flaws, my strengths, as well as my weaknesses, which allows me to accept. And that doesn't mean I'm going to accept the behavior, but accept Donnie for who she is, Liz for who she is, Rhonda for who she is, Angie for who she is, Nafan for who she is, good, bad, and indifferent, right? And when we have falling outs, because we have falling outs, there'll be knockdown, drag outs, shit goes down in the dividend, right? But I can still look at her and say, but nigga, I love you. I'm not going to accept that what you did. I'm going to call you out on it. But I love you. I love you like I love myself. And I'm extending more grace to you than the world extends to us. Because there's no other woman who is unprotected and disrespected like black women. And I made a vow many, many years ago that I would not be that person to another black woman. So I might be mad at you. I'll cuss you out too. Like we can go at it, but it's always gonna be in love. Like nobody can ever say Tamika was like, and we can even rumble. We can fight. Like I'm old. We might be rolling on the ground together. We ain't gonna get that much in. But I'ma still love you. Like I'ma still love you. I'm not gonna
think about how much it took for us to get down here.
Yeah, she said we're not gonna get that much in. We're gonna be tired by the time we even
holding her hair.
But I'm not gonna do to my sisters, to a black woman what the world does to us, and I'm not gonna just throw y'all away just because we had one falling out or we had a disagreement on something, or because your character, something about your character doesn't set well with me. We can get over it. I think it was DMX that said, I expect people to be exactly who they are. So if you're a snake, I expect you to bite me and I act accordingly. If you're a scorpion, I expect you to sting me and I act accordingly. Doesn't mean I can't love you and I can't fuck with you. It just means I know how to fuck with you so that it protects me at the same time. And I think that if people in general did that instead of trying to change people to make them be who they want them to be or who they think they should be, I think that we would navigate relationships a lot better. And I think that if we focus more on ourselves and saying, yo, I did that shit, or I said that, or I was tripping when I did that. I think if we were able to focus on ourselves and accept ownership for what we're going through, as opposed to always looking to be the victim and then blame someone else and make them our adversary when they're not even our adversary. They could be going through their own shit. Yeah. You know what I mean? I think that this whole navigation of women's relationships would be a little bit better.
Yes. Absolutely. I think that is a mouthful of mouthfuls, especially when it comes to that self-awareness, being able to identify your own flawed behaviors, thoughts, feelings, whatever they may be. I was recently having a conversation with someone and I had mentioned with that transition from really making yourself a priority and kind of focusing on you, it is almost impossible to treat someone unwell or unhealthy or disrespectfully or nasty if you're not treating yourself that way. Which means it's the complete opposite. When you're pouring into yourself, when you are, going to therapy, eating as clean as possible, enjoying like traveling, having advancements in your professional life and being open to those transitions, just doing yourself good, loving yourself, respecting yourself, holding yourself at a high esteem, you can't then turn around and be nasty and disrespectful. It's impossible.
It's really hard.
Because when you're doing that, when you're pouring good into you, you don't have a choice, but all you want to do is pour good into someone else.
It comes with a level of clarity, right?
Your default is love.
Clear and clarity.
Absolutely.
You're able to see things in a different way, right? You're able to receive it. And even when it comes down to behaviors and relationships, right? So Alyssa and Tamika both were referencing about, being able to see people for who they are. You see bullshit too.
Yeah.
You're right. And you're like, so how long did I take this bullshit? Right? And then I took it and then you made it my fault. When truthfully, it wasn't even my bullshit. Right. I'm carrying your bullshit and my own bullshit. Right? And then somehow you making me be the bearer of all the bullshit, but there's no accountability on you. So I know we always talk about accountability, right? We always talk about, I always look at intent and impact, right? So the intention could have been this, but the impact was that. Understanding what that impact was when it came to me. And I always use the analogy when I'm at work, because I work, with children, I'm cutting the lawn, and the intent was to cut the lawn, get it moving. I got to get quick because I'm trying to get out to, when the kid is like, I got to go, I want to go somewhere, cut the lawn. So they out there, they mowing the lawn. they cut off their parents' foot. The intent was to hurry up and get that lawn cut so they can go bike riding. Mm-hmm. The impact was the foot was hit in the process, and now we at the hospital, right? Mm-hmm. So two different things. The impact to the parent is now I'm going to the hospital. My foot is all damaged up. The impact to the kid is now I don't get to go ride my bike because now we all got to do X, Y, and Z. Recognizing what it is, the intentions of this, but then how it lays and falls in the individual that is receiving that, you know, and all of that, right? And then being able to be clear enough to see it, because I'm always about being clear enough to see it. And I was reading something that was talking about like your personality types, like type A personalities. We all have different personality characteristics. However, type A finds they struggle with the words when it's connected to an emotion to be able to clearly present themselves when they've been harmed and hurt. And I was like, oh. So like yesterday when I was conversing with my husband, we were conversing about some stuff, and it was very difficult for me to find, because I kept saying, don't do that. Don't make it about sisterhood. Like, don't do that. And he's like, well, how's it showing up? And I said, I don't have the words right now because you're hitting an emotion for me that I'm not able to work through in real time. But I can come back and talk to you later once I've processed it and digested it and things like that. So, you know, but it took me a long time to get to that. Yeah. And it also took me a long time to go, don't do that. Don't do that to me, because I'll say, so this is one of 6. I've always had a 5-person friend group. And I've always been a fall guy in my 5-person friend group. Always. Always. So when I hear like Danine doesn't want to do X, Y, and Z, because I don't want to be your fall guy in that situation. Right? When we had the little private jokes going on and I'm not a part of it. I learned throughout my time where my frequency was and how it impacted other people. So my frequency at times is here. There are moments I have low vibrational frequency as well, but my high frequency at times really fucked up a lot of people. But I didn't realize it at that time when people would be like, oh, you're like this. And I'm like, I just love you. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't realize the impact that it was having on other people. When I started to pull away, when I started to reevaluate who I was, because I've been in therapy since I was 20, a long time. Therapy is like dating. I will date you for 5 years and go find me a new one, right? And grow and evolve. So I've learned a lot of different things throughout this journey. But I also realize when I'm in this collective group, everybody has a role. So when I started this, I said, sometimes I'm trying to figure out what my role is, because there are times when I feel like I am the fall guy, and I've made it easy because I don't say nothing. Because that Tasmanian Danine from back in the day would cuss your ass out and not fucking apologize. Yeah. And then roll up and say, we going to the mall? Right? You know what I'm saying? Right? So that would be, that would be me, right? Because I didn't always have the words to be able to present to you. And I had one pivotal moment where one of my friends blamed me for something out of the blue. And I was like, I was at work. Got a phone call. When I say cuss me out, I really was like, oh my God, like, what is all this? Called the other friend up like, yo, such and such just called me with this. What the hell is going on? Mind you, I hadn't even seen them for probably a month. And she knew exactly what she was talking about. Oh, so y'all been talking? Why would she think I would do that to her? Like, why would she go there? Like, why did she automatically go, it's Danine? And I said, that's where I'm going to lay, right there. So we didn't talk for probably, I would say about a year. We didn't talk. And then my other friend that I called, I ain't chat with her either. She was on a 6-month hiatus. So throughout that year, the evolution of what she believed I did showed up. It manifested in somebody else. That the person that she was the most close with is the one that did the dirt.
It's always that one.
Right. And of course, it's I'm sorry. And I said, you know what? I love you. Right. I appreciate the apology. We'll never be the same. We'll never be the same. Because you automatically went. When I've demonstrated, I'm the one that if you like, come on, we getting ready to go do X, Y. All right, let's go. I'm getting in the car with you. That would be me. I would never do what you said that I did. But you went as out of all of us, I was the one that you thought would do the shady shit. That just told me how you think of me. That's clearly I showed up for you that way, or it was easy for me to take that blame. Because I legitimately was on the phone like, okay, hung it up, kept it moving. I'm at work, so I couldn't cuss nobody else back. I couldn't cuss nobody else out in the office.
Right.
But, because I'm going to be honest, I had no idea what it was about. Because she didn't even have she couldn't even emotionally tell me outside of just her being so upset, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, and that's when I started to reevaluate, like, you know, what is it that I'm showing up, or how is it that, how do people see me? Mm-hmm. You can't get caught in the mindset of what people see about you. However, it's difficult, right? Because the other piece is easy for everybody to have a role in a list, right? So you have the one that's always the victim. You have always the one that's the victimizer. You have one that's always the champion. You have always one, like all of those roles play out in relationships, right? Always play out. And then I started to see how people showed up in those roles, right? We're out in a small, short story. I'm at a conference this weekend. My colleague showed every time she spoke in a baby voice. The fuck is going on here? I literally had to say, yo, I can't fucking hear you. She went, and then turn this way. I'm back here. First of all, I'm 51. These don't work like they used to. I gotta see this in order to be able to do this, right? That's one. And then I was like, oh, this is who you show up when certain people get here, right? So we were with two of our male colleagues. You played a little sister role, but she plays a little sister role, and that's your default. Yeah. And then I was like, so we was at work on Monday. I was like, yo, nigga, I can hear you loud and clear. You actually talking in my face. What the hell is happening? I couldn't hear you last week. What was you saying? What was important last week? Can you retell it to me this week? And she was like, I said, but I recognize for myself now when we're in a dynamic, and on Friday night we were back in the same dynamic, the role hit the same, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna sit over here.
That's interesting.
You know, but that's what I mean by seeing clearly, right? I'm able to see clear.
Diminished in those spaces.
I don't know. No, that was the little sister role.
No, that was the patriarchy showing up. But we're gonna have that's a whole. That was the patriarchy.
No,
yes, it was.
I'm gonna say yes.
Anytime a woman changes her tone, her volume, or her cadence in the presence of a man to accommodate them, that's patriarchy. So
I'm gonna say this. That's not how I looked at that, because it literally became a little sister role. It literally, I feel you, but it was operated as like that whole little, and I was just like, and again, I am the youngest, but I grew up with a sister, so you know what I'm saying, we battling it out for, voices, hair products, whatever the case may be. But it was almost like, but I had to say to myself, you were able to see her. You're able to see this, so it doesn't affect you in the same way, right? And then I brought it to her attention on Monday, and she was like, that's not how I act. Okay. And I said, and I just was like, I can hear you now. But we were still with men. We were still with men, but it was with certain people. And I was just like, yo, so being able to clearly see, to be able to clearly see relationships, behaviors, undertones, right? And even currents is key. So when we talk about, making sure that we don't, double down on us, we also got to recognize what our frequency is and how we're showing up with that, and how that affects each other, because we all come from a level of strength. We all come, and Black women need one another. Like Dr. Joy was just stating that there are communes where Black women live long. Well, women need each other, but I think we thrive more because of what we come to the table with, and how we will fill those various roles, good, bad, and indifferent. And they were talking about just making sure that we live longer. Men are finding this space now, and Black men are finding this space and are coming together and are conversing about things that they would have never ever talked about. Their weaknesses and vulnerability. We've always talked about the vulnerability, but we never were heard with our vulnerability. People didn't listen to our levels of vulnerability. But recognizing how we all survived through the pandemic, the fact that says a lot, because when I said death was knocking at people's doors, it skipped over 6 people. Right in that process, but that was because we're designed to live longer, because we were connected with one another.
Yes. Oh wow, that's like a full circle kind of thing. I think that when we talk about our need for each other. There's a lot of wisdom in this room. I love being in the presence of mature women, older women, because I just absorb your lived experiences, your wisdom, and you have stories. You've gone through a lot of different things in order to be able to share that experience, so that someone younger doesn't make the same mistake or doesn't go that route, or if you do, here's one of the outcomes that can occur if you decide to go down that path. And I love kind of like that auntie space, of course, with me knowing you all, I appreciate that relationship. Why do you think it seems, or if you agree, there seems to be like a disconnect between younger women and mature women, especially within the Black community, for whatever reason, especially now with the advancements in social media and, certain things that we see, especially with just being overexposed to people's lives, people in the arts, musicians, rappers, and we're seeing them kind of live their lives out, and I often see beef between even though they like some of the younger entertainers consider like people in their 30s old, which is like weird to me a little bit, because I'm like, well, I'm young, like I don't know what you're talking about. Like, however, there seems to be a like, you hating on me because I'm this, or you want to be this, and the older ones, kind of have that vibe like, well, I know best, and I'm trying to show you. What do you think is going on there, and how do you think we should ourselves attempt to resolve that? Like, what can bring these two groups together? Because we do need them both. What are your thoughts?
I have so many thoughts on this topic, and I don't think that I have a foolproof plan, because for me it's situational, and I could feel one way today and feel another way tomorrow. I'm going to be honest about that. I think that for me, and what I see a lot in my generation, X, Generation X. So what it is that I see oftentimes, I come from a household where my mother set the tone. This is what you should do. This is who you should be. You want to, my education, my MRS meant more to my mom than my MED. You need to have a husband. You need to have children. You need to get a good state job. You need to do this, walk a straight line. I don't care if you're not happy. This is what you do. You collect a pension. You do all these different things. I come from a household like that. So seeing my daughter be as free, because she comes from me. She comes from a household where we can sit and have conversations, and what she feels matters. For me, I come from a household, children are to be seen and not heard. So I didn't have a voice. I didn't have a say. What my mom wanted us to be, largely, when I look at my siblings, they are what it is my mom wanted them to be. Nobody kind of shakes the table. Nobody does any of those things. And the generations behind us will fuck it up. They are free. They are doing their own thing. They are living life on their own terms. And what I see on social media, men and women in my age bracket are fighting them to the death for being themselves. Because we were not free. So you mad as hell that they're doing what it is that they want to do, because you just didn't do. And you want them to be exactly like who you are, but you ain't even happy with who the hell you are. So how is this whole thing? And it gets kind of trapped. And it's a whole lot of things that I just don't agree with. I don't. But I have the power of the scroll. I can scroll right past it. I don't like it. I don't have to comment on it. I don't like it. Matter of fact, some days my timeline is so crazy that I will take my whole phone and just flip it over like, whew, that's a lot. Like, I don't even want to see any of it. The arguments sometimes are so ridiculous. I'm like, how did y'all draw that conclusion? Because I'm in this group on Facebook, for instance, called Black Women Uncensored. And some days it could be so much fun and so funny, but how we can pick women apart in that group. Yes. And at the same time, how we can agree to women being disgusting, like how you can just tear them down for their opinions about some things that I just see as blatantly wrong. I don't like little girls turned around backwards, talking to us, looking back at it. I don't like everybody's tongues hanging out. I don't think little girls should have braids all the way to the back of their knees when they're little girls. Mm-hmm. I don't like little girls with freaking lace front wigs on. I don't like it. For me, I don't. Mm-hmm. But I'm not going to argue with you about it because you can't tell me shit about the way I raised Troy. Mm-hmm. That's your shit. Right. Mm-hmm. So I think that we have so many opinions and it goes back and forth. But for me, what I see for myself, in my age bracket, we were not free. So we're mad at everybody that's doing things the way they wanted to do because we just didn't. Yeah. So now you're trying to figure this shit out on the back end and you mad at everybody who did everything that you wish that you could have done.
Right. Yep.
I see it. I love Troy for everything. I sit back and I'm just like, yo, Troy is already at 24, Alyssa 5.0. Mm-hmm. If I had that level of backing, if I had that level of fearlessness, if I had that level of confidence, if I had that level of support when I was her age, I don't even know who I would be. Mm-hmm. But what I had was still in my head, my mom's voice, make this marriage work because you can't be without a husband. You gotta stay. You gotta do this. You gotta do these things. Mm-hmm. So everything I did, while I thought I was being rebellious and doing my own thing, it was still baby's voice was still in my head, and I was still trying to appease my mother while trying to save my marriage, while having children, while starting a career, picking out where I wanted to live. My daughter don't give a merry motherfucker what I think. She cares about my opinion, but Troy will, and I've always called Troy, I've always labeled her as quietly defiant. Mm-hmm. She was never disrespectful. But she would take what it is that me and Bob would say and then say, I'm not doing that. That's not what I want to do in my life. That doesn't work for my life. And because she is, I see that people have issue with that. In my family, they have issue with that. How free she is, how loving she is, her opinions or whatever case, because you still trapped. You still trapped. They ain't got shit to do with my daughter. So it's that push and pull because we are not free just yet.
Yeah. That's good. You said it. Yeah. You said it. And I think that, so Lissy pretty much summarized everything that I feel in terms of what's between us. So to answer the second part of your question, how do we alleviate that? Like, how do we build on forming relationships? So I got a bunch of youngins in my circle. I got a circle of youngins that I fucks with. I love them. And one of the things that I think is important is that there's a level of mutual respect between us. Yes. That I don't have to like what you do. I don't even have to agree with what you do, but I still respect you for who you are. Mm-hmm. And I believe wholeheartedly that you have a right to be exactly who you are. Mm-hmm. I remember, so me and my daughter started this thing called the Divas and Dolls, right? And now we have the Divas, the Dolls, and the Doll Babies because my grandbaby is 13 years old now, right? But the whole premise of the Divas and Dolls was to bring my group of women along with her group of women, the younger, you know what I mean? So we're 50, they're in their 30s. And we would go on vacation together because vacationing together allows you to be in a safe place and you're kind of relaxed and you get to ask questions. And I remember my daughter saying to me, I want to be able to ask y'all questions, and I don't always want to ask you, Mom, but you like my best friend, but I love Miss Andrea and Miss Yolanda, you know what I mean? Like, being able to just talk and share experiences, but I think what was most important is that it was reciprocal, right? It wasn't just us pouring into Muffy and Quinny and them, but also them pouring back into us and sharing with us, and I think that's what's important, understanding that it's a reciprocal, or should be a reciprocal relationship, because if we're always the ones coming in thinking, I'm just gonna be pouring, I'm just gonna be giving, I know what you should be doing, I know, that's not a reciprocal relationship. It establishes a power. Yes. You know what I mean? It's a power struggle. But I think when there's a reciprocal giving and receiving, that you can't help but to build a relationship and build that connection. You know what I mean? Like with my daughter, me and her are so close. I'm trying to get her to write a book with me. She won't. She'd be like, nope. And I'd be like, please, it'd be so good. And she's like, nope. But one of the things about us, and I had Muffy when I was 14, right? I had just turned 14. I turned 14 on January the 16th. I had her March the 1st, right? And the struggle for me was always, how do I have a relationship with my daughter that has clear boundaries? Because I was only 14 years old and I didn't want to be her friend. I wanted to be her parent. And then as she navigated through adulthood, how do I be her support person? how do I be her guide and her coach? Because she a grown ass woman now. She gonna do what she want to do, as she should. Because I did what I wanted to do. You know what I mean? So how do I support her in that? And one of the things, as my daughter goes through life, and you know, we are all going through a place in our lives right now that's challenging, right? And one of the things that I always ask her is, how can I support you? Yeah. What is it that you need? I never start with, I think you should do this. What you need to do is this. And I learned that from counseling and therapy. Yes. You know, as soon as you input you should, you've just judged that person and established a barrier. So even now, we just have to, and I keep saying, how is it that I can support you? You know who I am. What is it that you need from me? And then it allows me to say to her, I can or I cannot do that. Right. You know what I mean? But coming from a perspective of, if you want it to be a win-win and you really want to establish a relationship, then you can't just be self-centered and self-focused. You really have to focus on that other person and say, what is it that you need? How can I support you? You know what I mean? What is it that you're going through? And being able to say, I don't understand your need to do that, or I don't understand your need to be this, but I don't need to understand it to love you and to honor you and to respect you, because this relationship with you is really important to me. So, and that's the stance I've taken, like with my youngins, my daughter, my nieces, my friends, children. You know what I mean? They know they can always count on me. They can call me, you know, and if they premise it with, don't tell my mom, guess what? I'm not telling. I'm not telling unless it's a life or death situation. I'm not telling. You know what I mean? And then the thing, just lastly, to social media, there are some things I don't fucking want to know. Because I don't need to know everything that my children are doing or what the younger generation is doing. I thank God we came up in a time where you had to go buy an Inquirer for 75 cents to find out anything about anybody.
Or go get your film development.
You know, you had to wait to go get your pictures developed. I thank God for that.
Absolutely.
Because we don't need to know everything about everybody for every minute. So
seriously, we are overexposed on social media. That's an issue just all in itself. Like a whole nother segment we can kind of talk about. Social media exposure. You know, being a millennial, kind of grew up in this, you know, advancement of technology with social media. Like, my kids are small. This is like they come out the womb already knowing how to do things.
They don't know a life without it.
They don't know a life without the tablet. They don't know a life without, and I mean, you don't even have to teach it.
They know
They
it.
just come out scrolling. Like, you know, swiping the phone. I've seen it with my own eyes.
That generation, oh my God.
But, you know, I've had to learn, you know, when I look on Facebook, you know, they have those Facebook memories. And, you know, I was one of the original people on Facebook when it came out in like 2008, when it was just for college students. And when those memories come back, like, and I think about just my own maturity and my own growth, and it'd be like 2009, you said this one this day, and I'd be like,
damn. No, I didn't. What was I
like, I would never say something like this now.
Facebook keeps the receipts.
Yes. And I'm just like, oh my God, like, so much, you know, has happened. But I think, you know, for sure, just being able to create those spaces, it seems, for our young people to be okay with getting information from us, sharing it, not being judgmental when they share the information. And then, of course, that reciprocity is key. Like, we can learn too. We can learn from them. They teach us things. And I think just having that back and forth, I would have to agree. I think that that's a start. There's a lot of different things that I feel creates that disconnect. And you know, we have parenting concerns, we have trauma, we have just, you know, kind of where we are with, you know, societal expectations, with, you know, what are you supposed to be, what are you supposed to look like, how are you supposed to feel. It's just so many transitions going on within women in this group, or individuals who identify as women. There's just so much going on. However, space, that's the consensus I'm hearing, has been the consensus the entire time. Creating space for each other, safe space for each other, to love on each other, to say that I can disagree with you. Like, disagreement don't mean rejection.
Right.
Yes.
You don't have to, like, I don't have to agree. That's what makes me an individual.
Yes.
That's what makes me scroll and then you stay on the post because it's cool for you, not for me. You know what I'm saying? But that doesn't mean I don't have to like you or I'm rejecting you as a person. Like, I don't agree with that, whatever that is, your lifestyle, your career, your whatever, but I can still love you past that. It's not, and we need to get on one accord with it, and we're just not. And I think continuing to have these conversations will be important. Mm-hmm. Continuing to bring some folks, it would be great to have the dividend come back with a group of younger women.
I love that.
To kind of have that open conversation.
That.
So we got to put that on the calendar this 2024. Put that on the calendar. You know, to have that dialogue, you know, and it may be more of a panel type of situation, and you know, Brandon figured it out. As far as how to set us up, but I think it would be, you know, amazing to do continue that. I love the, you know, Divas $1,000 babies, the Diva Den is, you know, I think it's amazing to have. So I appreciate that. So we're going to segue into one of our last segments called Mindful Moment. I actually have a question for all of you, an individual question. So yes, and you know, mindful moment is just, you know, really taking some time to kind of identify just right on the spot, you know, some things in regards to your own self-awareness and experience and, you know, all of those things, and maybe trigger some things that you haven't really thought about. These come from, I'm a group therapist at heart, so I use a lot of different tools in group therapy, and I have these deck of prompt cards called Deeper Talk. They're amazing. This is not, you know, a sponsored. I just love Deeper Talk, so I'm just putting it out there. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to ask you a question, and then you can answer the first thing that comes to your mind. Mm-hmm. So, Rhonda, I'm gonna start with you.
All right, what?
I'm gonna start with you. So, what piece of advice would you give your younger self if you could?
I think I would tell myself to speak a little more, you know, seek the support, because early in, you know, going through school and college and all that, I pretty much kept to myself. Mm-hmm. And I think that was like a downfall because, you know, there was support there and I didn't do it. Mm-hmm. You know, I have grown, of course. I'm 62 years old, you know.
Yeah, 62 where?
I know that's right.
62 where, Delta dear?
I'm telling you, Black don't crack. Black do not crack. Just so y'all know.
Thank you. But yeah, I think I would have been a little more open in my younger self. You know, a little more approachable because I pretty much was in a shell. Right. It was just me and my mother. I clung to her. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Until I went off to college, and that was hard. Yeah. You know, but that, I think I would have been a little more. Yeah. Spoke a little more. Spoke a little more. Speak my piece.
Seek support. I like that.
You know,
you're not by yourself.
Yeah.
Even when you feel like you are, you're not by yourself.
I know.
I like that. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Like that. All right. Donnie.
Okay.
I'm going to have you next. What widely accepted belief needs to be dead and buried?
I was getting ready to say, which is probably going to be a negative. Honor thy mother and father. And I say that because
that's a good one.
Requires you to conform to them.
Wait a minute.
So I could be me while still being honorable to them. Mm-hmm. But when you honor them, you actually are taking on who they want you to be versus who you need to be. And who you might want to be.
Music coming.
So that's just what popped into my head immediately. Yes. And it's funny because I am in a tug of war with my own with that. Letting go. And letting them be who they need to be and want to be, because that's who I was raised to be, right? Yes. Honor thy mother and father, and my parents were polar opposites of one another. Polar opposites. Have a twin sister. My dad did not believe in us dressing alike. My mom did. Right? He believed in if you want to go up the steps and she wants to slide down the steps, let him do it. And my mom was, just a whole lot. So honoring thy mother and father in the essence of, I can do that to them as they get older because that is what my role and responsibility is. But when it comes to me as an individual, I don't owe you that.
Right.
And can I add to this? Let me add to that because nobody ever talks about the ending of that scripture that says, provoke not your children to rage. Right. Nobody ever talks about that.
You're
part.
right.
So I just want to go ahead on and add that part because you want me to honor you, but you're constantly provoking me to rage.
Yes.
So we are strategic and methodical about what it is that we will spew to you and leave out what we don't want you to know.
Wow.
So
That's
Woo, are you all getting this?
that was good.
Please, oh my goodness. I wasn't expecting that. Okay. Oh, that was a good one. All right. Jeez.
That was good.
Yes.
Baby. Look at my mom.
Wait, let's have the shimmy on there.
I wasn't expecting that one. That was good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whew. Okay. Tamika.
Yes, ma'am.
What part of your life have you still not figured out?
Fuck. Shit. Fuck. I'm sitting here, so I'm gonna go ahead and be honest, and I'm gonna go ahead and be transparent. I'm gonna apologize to my husband now. It was the being a wife part, and how difficult and self-sacrificing it was, and I still haven't figured out how to let go of my marriage and my husband because I do love him, but it does not serve me, and it hasn't for a long time. Ooh. And I am currently going through the process of having to let that go and trying to figure out how to navigate that in a way that still maintains the relationship if possible. And it's really hard to do. And that is the part of my life that I am working through currently as we speak. And it's really hard because I've struggled, as the diva that knows, for years and years, and it's finally come to the point that I can no longer move forward as his wife, but I'm hoping that I can move forward as his friend and as his family member, and so that's where I'm at now. Shit, that question. I'm sorry. I wasn't expecting that.
I'm trying to focus on anything else. Like, we all got on black leggings. We're all weird. Like, anything else.
Ooh, that was a lot.
That was heavy.
I'm so sorry for dropping that.
Listen, we fought over green grass.
We really fought over green grass.
Yes. Please, you never have to apologize here.
We are all
That is real. It's like
experience.
real. I felt every word of that. First of all, thank you for your vulnerability.
Absolutely.
And just being honest. Not everyone can be honest and just feeling safe enough to say it, out loud. I think that even when we're internally going through something, sometimes speaking it out loud kind of makes it a little bit more real. And I think ends up being the start,
That's what
to that, progression and moving forward. Not all evaluating relationships, like Darlene talked earlier, are bad things, right? I think every relationship sometimes runs its course, or you reevaluate your place in that particular relationship. And this is that reevaluation period. That's what, it could be.
And thank you for starting out with honoring how this could land.
Yeah.
you honored that. You know, I'm going to apologize
In advance.
in advance.
Because I've been extremely protective of him,
Yeah.
even though I'm gonna always be extremely protective of him.
Yes.
So let it be known that,
Yeah.
I might say whatever I'm gonna say, and it's
But
always
you better
behind
do
my
it
back.
Come
on
for
the
your
here,
neck.
man, not
Fuck
add
somebody
another
up.
purpose.
Absolutely.
I will
As-
fuck you up
As
over
it
Michael
should be.
Chester.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes, for sure. And guess what? You got the dividend plus one to support you, in whatever way I'm sure you need us to show up. Period. So thank you for sharing it. All right, and listen.
I was like, maybe she'll forget about that. Maybe her light drop and we can get on out of here. Let me love Tamika. Come on, let me hold your hand. Walk through the car.
No, man. I didn't answer that question. That's what the universe brought up for you.
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay. What would you like to re-experience because you did not appreciate it fully the first time?
That's a good one.
Marriage.
I knew. Yes.
I will say marriage, and it goes back to what I said earlier about everybody's expectations and straddling that line, trying to please everybody, trying to protect him while protecting my family's feelings, and not honoring him because I protected my family's feelings, and not honoring my mother while trying to protect his feelings. And not fully understanding all that was required of me. I got married when I was 18 and divorced at 28. And I'm not saying that I would want to experience marriage again with that same person. I'm not saying that in particular. But I did not recognize all that was required. All I knew was he loved me, and I had never experienced that level of love. And it was something that I wanted. I wanted to have children with him. I wanted to bear his children. I wanted to be his wife. I wanted his last name. But I didn't understand all that came along with it. I did not recognize at the time, because of my youth and because of my family's struggle. They did not particularly care for him. He didn't particularly care for them. And it was a whole lot of struggle. I didn't recognize the responsibility. I didn't recognize how quiet I should have been about some things. Recognizing that not all of my marital issues needed to go out the door and into someone else's ear. Not recognizing that women who had not experienced that level of commitment could not give me opinions on what I was dealing with. I needed to be heard. I was hurt sometimes, and I just needed to speak. And my business was walking into spaces that I had never been because I trusted people who never experienced that level of commitment. And then I had people who were offering me strong opinions about a commitment they had not experienced while they were doing something completely opposite of it. So I'm a lot older now, and I'm a lot wiser. I have a lot more to offer. I have a lot more to give. And me and Meek were having this conversation coming over here about that level of love that I know I deserve.
Yes.
It's not just about you being here. I can remember saying, having a conversation with some young girls, and a lot of times people didn't want to take my advice on marriage because I was divorced. And I had this, and this is about to be frank and disgusting to a fault, but I can remember having a conversation with my staff when I was the executive director of Camden Day, and a young girl was married. And she said something that was so silly to me now as a mature adult. She said, but he's my husband. He coming home to me. I got his last name. And I was like, but what is he coming home to you with? But the smell of what woman is on his fingers? Who's on his heart and who's in his head? So if you're just holding tight to him, you having his last name, and that's all you're giving, and you're good with that, meanwhile, because it was a push-pull with some other woman, I don't care because he coming home to me. Is he coming home thinking about her?
All right.
Is he coming home with her on his lips and her on his fingertips? It's a whole lot more that you need to be concerned about than just having his last name. And I can remember thinking that too. I can remember thinking that all that mattered to me was that last name. I can remember the time when he actually told me that women are beginning to notice me. I don't want to notice them back. So, and it was just that thinking because of that youth that I'm his wife. He coming home. He coming home here. But every night I would notice, now that you can track it back and think about it, he came home lesser and lesser and lesser and lesser until it was over. And it was because I had never seen a successful marriage. So my mother couldn't tell me how to be married because my dad was gone. And my sisters were struggling. How do you tell me? But their opinions mattered heavily because I was under that dictatorship. All I knew was what my mom said, and I wanted to please my mom. Honor thy mother and thy father. So you wanted me to go ahead on and you wanted me to do these things, and I wanted to make you happy, but I got to go home with him. I still love him though.
Right.
So it was always that push-pull because I didn't know how to be a wife. I did not know how to love. I wasn't even quite sure just yet how to love Alyssa. I didn't know.
Wow.
You know, and then we had a beautiful baby quick. Got married at 18, had Miles at 19. So immediately I have somebody to take care of. My whole focus is this beautiful baby boy. You know, marriage is going by the wayside, sex is going by the wayside. I didn't realize that you can't ration sex. Didn't realize that the big man needed to eat every day. I'm a cook sometime. I'm really good at that. But just a whole bunch of things that were never told to me. And I never learned because I never saw it. So having an opportunity to get it right, to experience that level of love where somebody is just looking for me. My presence matters. And my love and my support matters. And then reciprocity, where I receive that back, where he's excited to see me walk into the room and the click of my heels makes him excited. I want that level of love. I would love an opportunity to try that again with all that I know, with all of my failures, with all of my victories, with all that I have grown to be. I would love to have that experience again.
Yes.
Welcome to the Diva Den.
Yes.
Welcome to the
Listen.
motherfucking Diva Den.
Yes. Wow. This is real talk.
Yeah.
Real talk. Real women encountering real shit at the end of the day. You know, but still coming out, you know, even more poised, more resilient, stronger, self-aware. You know, that stand thing is sometimes that's all you can do. You know, it's okay to kind of lean into the floor, sit for a little bit, but you gotta get up. And I think that is what I'm taking away from today. Like you have the opportunity to do it again. If that's what you want to do it again. And to keep trying until it becomes what you want it to be. Oh, this episode is so special. Yes.
I want to say to my Diva Den members that are here, I just want to I want to say thank you for your growth and evolution to you all. Yes. I just want to let you know that I see you and I've noticed you and I've watched your voice come out, Rhonda. It makes my heart smile that you have a voice. And you will actually jump in because Rhonda was much like me. She was one of those people that didn't want to be over-talked and she wouldn't jump in. She would be double-dutching for a little while and then she would fade. You know, like, okay, they're stronger personalities, but then she would just keep coming and coming until her voice was heard. And for Meek, was always hard. So to watch her soften and lean so deeply into her femininity makes my heart smile.
Yes.
So it's not, she doesn't feel like she always has to be knuck if you buck. She can be soft and sensual, really.
Yes.
She's soft and she's sensual, you know, and it's flirty and it's so cute to watch her giggle behind her shoulder. It's like a running joke in my house. My daughter got to see her do it. And she was like, Miss Meek was giggling over her shoulder. And I was like, it ought to be in class about that.
I love it.
And for Danine being angrily quiet because she felt like people couldn't take what it is she had to say. She felt like she couldn't say it because she didn't want to be pegged as the angry black woman. She didn't want to be pegged as aggressive. But being able to find her voice in a space and her footing in a space where she can get her point across eloquently as the educated black woman, I mean. And she ain't the darkest of us, because I think I'm that. But she the blackest of us all. But she really did. She found her voice in a space where it's not, you know, jumping in or jumping at you, but she can say it. She can say what needs to be said. She doesn't reserve that. She doesn't walk away swallowing her voice. She doesn't walk away swallowing her thoughts. She doesn't walk away swallowing what needs to be said in an MFM moment. She says it, and it's soft, and it's received. It's no curse words. It's eloquent. She is the wordsmith, and she gets it out. Yes. So for Rhonda to have a voice, Meek to lean into her femininity, and Donine to find a way to tell them MFers off without ever being disrespectful, but she could walk away and they know for sure what just happened. You know, she walks away now in a way where people are just like, wait a minute, I'm leaking blood. What just happened to me? And I really do like seeing all of this growth around the table, because I'm telling you, it has been major growth that has happened in this space. And I just thank God for y'all. Y'all make me better.
Amen. We love
thank God for you.
We love you too. And I know we've been here forever, and we're gonna close out, but I did ask you, and I think this would be the perfect time.
Yes,
May
absolutely. Yes, you sure can.
Thank you. So when we said we were gonna do this, and what the topic was, I have something for the dividend. I was hoping that we would all be here, but not. So I'll make sure. So
Thank you. Pass it around.
yeah, pass it around. Pass it around. Shar, you get one too.
Oh my goodness!
You get one too, because it's really important. So I want you to open this, ladies, and it's not just the bracelet, but I'm going to read to you what it says, because I think this is so important. Because of you, I laugh a little harder, cry a little less, and smile a lot more. Thank you for being a part of my bad-ass girl.
Yes.
OMG.
You are a part
Yes.
of our bad-ass girl thing, because you is doing it. You is doing it. You are dope. We've been watching you and cheering you on. Yes. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I've been wearing mine for a long time. I actually got this maybe last year from another group that I was in, and when I read it, it literally made me tear up. And I've been waiting for a whole year. Listen, no, I would buy y'all some shit a year ahead of time, but I was like, oh, all the women in my circles, all of them are getting it. So,
Oh my God.
thank you
so
for
much.
being a part of the Badass Girl Day. And whenever you feel, down or whatever, I want you to just put this on, because you can wear it with everything because it's red. Just as a reminder of, you are the shit.
Yes.
Talk your shit.
Talking shit.
Talk your shit.
Yes.
But also remember that there is a whole tribe who has your back.
Yes.
And we are all part of that fine ass aunties Badass Girl Day.
Yes.
So thank you for the opportunity with the
Yes.
Thank you. So thank you for this opportunity to have us.
Well,
I
Shar.
have gifts also.
Oh shit.
I have gifts also. I had to come bearing gifts just as an appreciation for you just taking the time. It's Sunday, it's dreary outside, and you decided to be here today. And this has been an amazing experience. Just being in your presence and just having open and honest conversation. I love it. This is what I wanted Lotus Living to be. This right here is my shit. I'm like, this about to be lit. And it's just it makes me giggle on the inside. So not only do I have a gift for each of you, I also have a very much so dedication that I want to devote to the dividend. So here is the Lotusville Counseling Services and Wellness Retreat. As you can see, I'm into the greenery. We have plants, and I'm still growing, my plant family. Some are in plant heaven. However, I'm getting that green thumb, but definitely, shout out to Michelle and Mercedes, a part of my staff who helps me, keep them together. But if you were to walk around the building to all of my live plants, they all have names. And I'm dedicating a plant that is unnamed today to the dividend. So, in our little naming ceremony, the dividend plant is right behind you. And as you can see, the reason she's the dividend is because she's vibrant. She's blooming. So as you can see, some of her flowers are not yet open. But I think that's an indication of the growth that can occur. Some are already bloomed, and I don't necessarily think that's
trying to make a thug cry.
Look, one thug on me kid up. I put it.
And so the dividend is right there. So anytime you come to the Lotus Well, you can tell everybody, this is heavy talk shit. The dividend is at the Lotus Well Counseling Services and Wellness Retreat. And so she will be named today. I will put this on her.
That is so dope.
Oh my God.
This is the greatest
Yes, this is good.
Wow.
This is good.
Close out with, just letting everybody know that Lotus Living means to transcend existence by intentionally creating and sustaining a well-balanced lifestyle, overcoming adversity, and contributing to the well-being of mankind while embracing the evolution of who you were meant to become. And I think that this show is everything Lotus Living at this point. And I truly appreciate you. I appreciate y'all for listening. I'm sure. Peace out.